In this video, I want to show you how to set up a new light laser. So this, you have the option to use one or the other or both. And I'll show you how to set like both of them up and use them together or separately. So to sum it up, we're going to be using a new part component. So let's go ahead and add that to our M4. So FPS part, and call this one light laser. So I've already provided one in the content, so I'll just use that so I don't have to use a new mesh. So we're going to add the light laser as our preview mesh and set the parent socket to be the root of the firearm. So let's get this in position. So we need to rotate it by 90 degrees like we do with everything else and get that roughly where we would want it. So I'm going to rotate this and set it off to the side somewhere, kind of like that. And I'll just move it, I guess, down a bit and then move it all the way to the front like so. So that way we don't have to really worry about any interference because it looks like the laser itself should clear. Okay, so now we have to create the light laser blueprint. So what we're going to do is right click, create a new blueprint class. And if we search for FPS, you'll see we have a light laser base. So I need to remove the base from the name, but select that. BP underscore tutorial light laser. And this is what we're going to use. So you can see it already has by default quite a few components, and we just got to add one more. So that's going to be our static mesh for the light laser. So let's give it the mesh of light laser. And continue. So we have that set up. Now here we have the spotlight component, the laser mesh, and the laser decal. So let's work with the light first. So let's position that right in front of the glass. So we got to rotate it by about 90. Oops, not sure where I just dragged that to. And get that into position. It should be somewhere just kind of in that area. It doesn't need to be super precise. And the only thing I want to do now is, one, I want to reduce that outer cone angle, crank up the attenuation radius all the way. And let's drop this angle down to like 15 and give it the inner cone angle of like 10, something in that area. So it has a little bit of a soft shadow around the very edge. And we'll just go from there. So as always, what we have to do with everything we add, when we add a custom part, we need to set the static mesh or the skeletal mesh to have the tag, well, the component tag of FPS part. Once that's done, let's go ahead and look at the settings that we have provided. So we have options for is the light and is it a laser. Since we're using just the light for right now, we're only going to leave that checked. So we have everything for the most part set up. We're not using laser just yet. We're going to use that here in a bit. Now we just got to add it as the default part for the M4. So here we have our light laser. Let's give it the default part of tutorial light laser and add it as a possible part for the light laser. Okay, now we have all that set up. We have to enable it and disable it. So basically we're going to press it for a key. So I want to make this so when I press C that we toggle the laser on and off. Or sorry, the light and laser on and off. So let's grab our character component. Let's get the firearm. Make sure that it is in fact valid. And from here, if we search for light, we will see use light laser. So plug that in, and here we have the option to toggle specific things. So here we can choose to toggle the light on or off, the laser on or off, or both at the same time. So this basically alternates between each state. So I'm going to use both. So let's give it a try. I'm going to press C. All right, so you can see the light there. However, it is not bright at all, even though the attenuation distance is very, very far. So what we can do to resolve that, let's go to the light laser, spotlight component, and search for fall off. So here you can see use inverse squared fall off. We're going to uncheck that. Now this should make it super bright like that. So you basically have a sun. So yeah, very effective. So what we're going to do, grab the spotlight component. We're going to drop that intensity down to 100 and give that a try. Okay, that's still just absurdly bright. So let's go even farther. Let's try something like 25. All right, it's still very bright. I'm actually really surprised at how bright it still is. Let's try 5. And that is a lot more manageable. I'd say that's more useful. It's still surprisingly bright, but it's decent. So we have our light set up. Now what we want to do is we want to set up our laser as well. So what we can do, didn't mean to do that, is, son of a gun, stay still. Okay, so we're going to select our laser mesh and go ahead and set it. So under the static mesh, we search for laser, you will see laser mesh. Now it's not going to be visible by default, so what we want to do is under search details, I need to fix this, so yours very well, let me add this to the to-do list really quick. All right, so that's been added. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to check visible, so that way we can see it and have a better representation of where it is. So I want mine to be right here. That's where I want mine to be set. So I'm going to drag it over and get it positioned roughly in that area. So let's just get it right in line. Sorry, that's a little bit bright and hard for me to see, but that should be pretty close. So about in there. So next up, what we want to do is we want to look through the sockets, see what's related to that. So here we can see sockets. It has a laser socket of S_laser. So we want to set that up for our mesh. So let's view our mesh, open it up. And here you can see, well, we have 2 of them. One's for aiming, which I will cover in a separate video, and one's for the laser. So the laser is right where we would want the laser to come directly out of. So we want to shoot straight out like that. So we know that that is in a good position. So make that yourself. Just add a socket, name it, and put it where you want the laser to come out of, and make sure the rotation is correct. So you can do that by making sure it goes forwards. So here you can see where the 0.00 is. That's facing forwards. And same thing vertically. You can see that it's facing forwards where it is. So once that is set up, we want to do one more thing and check is laser, because we are now setting it up to use as a laser too. So let's hit play, and we have a default laser with a random green thing. So there's some stuff that we have to set up here as well to fix that. So that's just like with optics, we have laser materials and laser dot materials. So let's add one laser material. And if we search for laser, we're going to make it, we'll just do a blue laser. Why not? Then under laser dot materials, search for laser again. Here we see laser dot blue. So we can select that. Now when I enable it, you can see it's a blue dot with a blue laser. Now, because as you can assume this is an array, we have the ability to change all of these as well. So I'm going to set this up with I'll do a green laser second. The laser dot green and laser green. Now we just have to cycle between these. So the way we can do that is if we search for light, or better yet, laser, you can see cycle laser color. So pretty much the way I want to have this set up is whenever I release it, I'm just going to call cycle laser color, just for the sake of this video. So I enable it, I'm blue. When I release it, I go to green. Now I'm blue again, and when I release, all right, when I press it, I'm blue. When I release again, I'm green. So you can change and toggle between the laser colors by calling cycle laser color. So you would just set that up to be bound to a key or whatever you feel like you would want it to be set up with. Okay, so now that we're getting a collection of parts, I'm actually going to make a new folder and call this one Firearm Parts, and just throw them all in there to stay organized for the future. Okay, so that pretty much covers up the bulk of the firearm parts that you may be using. There are still a couple other things like range finders and all that, and I will be getting into that later. But now I think that you should have the base lines for how to actually set up all these parts, as for the most part, it's pretty much the same thing. So I'm not sure what we're going to do in the next video, but I will see you then.